All right, welcome to episode 8 of DAO Talk, your one-stop shop for everything DAOs. It is July 14th, 2022. I'm Tommy.
And that's
special guest.
I'm joining today.
Yeah, special guest. We got a special guest today.
It's gonna be the best episode of DAO Talk yet. We got Dennison.
Do you want to intro Dennison, Tyler, or if he wants to intro himself?
Dennison, give us your intro, but you can't talk about everything because we got shit to do today. We got to keep it moving.
So I am Dennison Bertram, co-founder here at Tally. That's probably enough of an intro. I'm really into DAOs. DAOs are my jam. Live and breathe DAOs. And also haunted by them. So that's me.
Dennison was building in crypto before your OG's favorite OG.
It's very true.
Oh God, seriously.
True.
Basically, so it means I've just had a ton of time to make more mistakes than other people. Very, very mistake laden.
One time we should do an episode that's just like you talking about, actually all three of us just talking about the stupidest things we've done. I think people would love that so much.
That's a great idea. That would be such a long list. And actually for me, maybe very depressing. I think I might have to have a drink.
We can,
be.
I was going to say we can drink heavily during it. It'll be fun.
I think also it goes without saying, every time ETH is at the top, I buy.
Do you have an algorithm that's just like...
Yeah, it's called FOMO.
You're like the opposite. You just buy from the Ethereum Foundation. You have a bot. As soon as Ethereum Foundation sells, then it can buy.
Alex DMs me and says, "Hey, you want to buy some ETH? OTC?" I'm like, "Yeah." Every time.
If we drink during this episode, Tommy doesn't drink because he's a professional CrossFit athlete, so he's gonna have to drink iced coffee. But that'll be okay.
God. I just started CrossFit.
Really?
Yeah.
You like it?
It's really hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
Like dad bod, COVID 2 years to
high
some
intensity.
guy yelling at me to do burpees, and I just pass out every time.
Dude, you weren't in team meeting last week. Dennison said that he didn't fill out the agenda because he went to CrossFit and then passed out.
That sounds about right. It sounds about right.
Trainer's like, you're fine. I'm like, I can't
I'm not
see
fine.
you. I can't see you. I don't know.
All right. Well, let's get into the episode. Anyway, DAOs. So it's DAO Builder Summer. Is what we're gonna call it. That's what we're calling it. And Frisian
hot DAO Builder
Summer.
Summer.
Yeah, give us a little rundown for the people who aren't watching. What is this tweet?
Superfizz is my favorite Ethereum nerd. He's just so wholesome that the rest of crypto Twitter hates him. It's great. But the Ethereum people love him. Anyway, this is such a good idea. I was talking about how it's sad that no one had ever asked me to be their multi-sig signer, but what am I doing? I should just be my own multi-sig signer, and we should just start fucking around, max fucking around. So yeah, this idea is hilarious. Basically you make a multi-sig wallet and add 20 people without telling them what you're doing, and then put something kind of valuable in there, but that you won't miss, and then tell all of them it's in there, and then be like, good luck. So they have to coordinate to decide what to do to somehow extract value from it, maybe. Yeah.
Have you done it yet?
I personally love this idea. It sounds like so much fun, and it kind of reminds me in a way, if we were to do this live, it kind of reminds me of prank calling, right? Back in the day, you prank call people, be like, oh, hey, but this is kind of different because it'd be like, yo, hey, and they'd be like, hey, what? They'd be like, capital gains tax, because suddenly they're on a multi-sig. You're like, I added you to my corporation and I removed myself. Now you own all the liabilities. And that feels very funny. right? Like that's kind of what it is. It's like, oh, I started this internet native corporation and I added you to it, and we have a profit because I sent you an NFT, and now you're responsible for paying tax on that, which is kind of a wild idea.
I didn't even think about it like that. That's a great point. Yeah.
That's basically what all these DAOs do when they airdrop tokens. They just don't say the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's really important when you claim tokens to do that as soon as humanly possible before there's a price. So there's no price for it. It seems so crazy. I gave this talk back in like 2013, or I was on a panel in 2013. I was talking about this idea of like how wild it was that you could come up with like banana coin and just be like something ridiculous, and the government like won't recognize it because it thinks it's stupid, but still wants 25% capital gains on it. Right, which is just so wild, right? But this is kind of like similar.
So, like, how do we get the token fast enough that there's no price fee? We need this alpha right now, Dennison. You need to tell us how you do this.
I think DAOs actually should, or projects in general, they should do the airdrop during a period of time at which you're not allowed to transfer the token. Right? There should be an airdrop period where you claim where the token is worth nothing. Right? That is ideally what you should do. But of course, projects don't necessarily like that because they want a moment where the first people are selling and the price looks really high. So everybody freaks out and wants to claim. Right? And then the price goes up, and that's like great marketing. But I think it would be really fair to airdrop collectors if you could, claim it for some period of time when it was not a tradable asset, when it didn't have any price, so that like if you don't intend on like selling it, or even if you do intend on selling it, like just so you don't suddenly get hit with capital gains tax for basically not really doing anything, right? Like somebody airdrops you banana coin and someone on the other side of the world is willing to pay $16 for it. Suddenly you owe capital gains tax, right? Like someone gives you 1 million banana coin and somebody once paid $16 for it, and now you got to pay capital gains on $16 million. It's like, bro, that.
See, this is the kind of UX improvement that I'm here for. Like, and also that was probably good marketing when like the Uniswap airdrop happened, but now everyone fucking hates airdrops. Like everyone knows they're just going to get dumped. Like everyone knows they're getting fleeced. So I don't think it's good marketing anymore. I mean, the price chart of OP has just been like a travesty, and people started hating literally like immediately, right? So like I think it would actually be better if people did thoughtful things like this. Also, I think some of these teams like truly the governance only token as a way to get liquidity for insiders is something that like I hate with a passion, but I think some of these teams, like that's actually not why they're doing it, right? Like they actually do care about governance and stuff. So anyway, I think this is a good pro tip from Dennison. Please, next project that drops ERC20 token with airdrop, please do this. That way I can compliment you instead of complaining about you.
Exactly. All right.
I kind of wonder if you airdrop NFTs, what's the capital gains on that, right? Like each one is totally different. Like it doesn't make sense to use floor price because floor price is just totally imaginary, and that's actually the price at which no one's willing to buy it. Is that different?
Yo, this is like one of many reasons that I think NFTs should sort of be like the default for governance. Because like it boils down to the fact that like it's less obviously a security. Like, I mean, you can do stuff to make it look like a security, but it's just sort of like more intuitive that it's a commodity, right? And like this, and like, and or just like not, I don't know. Like I feel like this weirdness and like illiquidity and like the sort of fact that the token itself has like slightly more value related to just like, I don't know, sentimentality, uniqueness, or whatever is like, it's all a feature, I think, for governance, basically. It's just easier to like be less dumb than the ERC20 in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Back to the GnosisSafe thing though, because I feel like there's still a lot to sort of like talk about there. It seems like this would be a really great game to play, right? Like maybe if you remember Paperclip DAO, which was sort of like based on that idea that you remember, like, I don't know, like a decade ago or 2 decades ago, some guy traded a paperclip for a house, but like he did it like incrementally. It was like a paperclip for a pen for a notebook for a book for like a blender, a blender for like a toaster for like a car, you know? This feels like one of those like kind of viral games that you could somehow create. I think you maybe need more than just the single multi-sig wallet with 20 addresses of people you might know, right? Because I actually think that those 20 people just wouldn't care. But if you could do something where maybe like it was like hot potato, you know, where like the last one on the multi-sig like pays the capital gains, or but you know also gets the like NFT or something like that, like some sort of like you can't get off the multi-sig without proposing someone new to join the multi-sig, right? Like maybe some sort of like little thing like that would be kind of funny, and you'd like contribute something to it, like some shit coin that you have, like you put in, and like it's just like snowballs like that. Is that something to make it like sort of like viral fun?
Yo, this is like how jokeDAO works. You could use like their platform for that. Like, yeah, because you can control the rules of the game, and I don't think you could do exactly that, but you could program rules like that, and then just be like, at the end of the game, the winner gets the NFT. I think you could actually do that. It's interesting.
Yeah, I like this idea.
It all comes
also,
back
you have
to
a problem here of like telling
Tommy,
people
you need
that
to
they're on the multi-sig.
Yeah, you kind of have to know them. This is why we need a messaging layer for Ethereum so bad.
You know what you could do though is you could just do it with ENS names, like the
That's
first
true.
5 people that show up on my it might be great marketing for your project, right? Like if you have a project and you just be like, you know how they say drop your ENS to get something surprise, and people just drop their ENS. You could just be like, drop your ENS to get added to a multi-sig, and people might just like do it. That might be a good way to like spark participation.
Tommy, you need to get us back on track, or this is going to be a complete disaster.
All right.
Dennis and I both like to talk
moving
way too much.
on. So, some tally news, modular tally. Frisson, break it down.
Well, it's just like more hot DAO builder summer. First of all, let's ignore the typo in this tweet.
That's not true. That's not true. Also,
fired.
like if you wouldn't have brought it up, no one would have noticed the typo.
That's true. I think a lot of these people just don't notice it. It is kind of like you just read it as starting. Anyway, yeah, just build shit, right? Like now you don't even have to have your token. You don't have to deploy a token. You don't have to have a governor who even knows what that means. You can just start your DAO on Tally right now. And 64 people have already done it this week. So just like keep an eye on what's happening on Tally. You can just like build your DAO there and it will be dope.
Dennison, you want to talk about, like why this is important and how it plays into like Tally's, grand vision in regards to like the DAO space?
Yeah, this is really important because what we found for DAO builders is there's a lot of anxiety around the on-chain portion of building DAOs. There's a lot of anxiety around the startup phase of DAOs. People are pretty familiar with creating a group and then everybody gets into it and then they start talking. They find a lot of difficulty in like taking that to the next level. So there's a lot of services where you like start DAOs and you have to make some pretty permanent decisions around things like token distribution and allocations and who gets what and how do you participate or how it works and quorum and thresholds and these things. And these things are actually very scary for a lot of DAO builders. So what we've done at Tally is we're trying to alleviate that early stress so that we can onboard more people into building these organizations earlier. So now what you're able to do on Tally is you start a DAO and you don't need anything to start with. So rather than it be this upfront educational cost of like you need to know how all these things work, it actually becomes more of a checklist, right? Like you create your DAO and then you get a checklist of things that you can do. We're really thinking about this in a very modular way so that you can add a governor once you have one. You can add some other features that are coming once you have them, right? So this can be a process that's very incremental, and that goes a long way to allowing your community to build buy-in for certain features and certain like structures, but also allowing you to do it incrementally so that you can sort of like capture the fire of your idea right away without necessarily having to like fully flesh out the idea right away.
What they are?
Yeah. No, you'll find out later. Okay. when you get the tax liability.
All right, moving on. Peter Pan tweet, not going to ETHCC. Frisson, you have some takes on this.
This is just me like unnecessarily like firing a shot at Europe for no reason, which everyone's been doing on Twitter this week. I just want to call out, like, I feel like it's ridiculous, these conferences. Like, everyone is like, now I'm in Miami, now I'm in Paris, now I'm in Bogota, now I'm in New York City. It's like, do you do any work? Conference this, conference that. Have you done any work recently, Anon? You know? And so anyway, I feel like this is just like a really good encapsulation of a lot of people are like, yes, me neither. F that. I'm tired. Anyway, I'm sure it's a great conference, but we're not there either.
Dennison, do you have thoughts on like conferences? And you've been in the space way longer than us. Like, does work actually get done at conferences? Is there like a reason to have one every single month? Like what is it just an energy drain? Like what's the purpose?
I think the international conference circuit is a bit of an energy drain if you attend it, but locally it brings a lot of value, right? Like if you are in New York, if you are in Bogota, if you are in Paris, and suddenly there's like a Ethereum conference or a crypto conference there, that brings like an opportunity that you might not otherwise have had to participate, right? There's a lot of people who participate in these things that are like, you know, they take a day or two off of work and they just like take the subway over to the conference. Those folks, you know, for those folks, these conferences are really important, right? It brings this like otherwise very remote seeming world to them, right? Like crypto for a lot of people feels like fantasy land, and it's just so far away that it's difficult for them to feel like it's tangible. So when there's actually an event locally and they like go to it and they see all these people and all these projects show up and talk about all the things they're doing, it really brings a sense of like wonder and understanding that this is something they can participate in. So in that degree, I think they are very important. I think if your job isn't to just conference, then it becomes pretty quickly an enormous waste of time. I do not believe anybody who says that they can work effectively with their laptop in a plane. There's no such thing as enough room to work effectively on a laptop in a plane unless you're flying like first class, and that's really expensive. And then I have to question like, you know, all of your flights going around the world. You know, so I do think there's like a kind of business development, like face of the future kind of people who do kind of need to live out of a suitcase and hit all of these things. But it's unreasonable to expect them to actually be getting substantial work done at the same time. You know, yeah, that's kind of like my take on it. We don't need so many of them, or we don't need to attend as many of them. Ideally, we're getting to a place where local communities already have enough people in them that you can create, attend, participate, speak at, host conferences all with like local community, right? And that be something where there's enough people in your area doing something exciting, right? Because we do see that, right? And yeah, that's kind of my thought.
That's a fire take.
Thanks for the commentary. That was good. Yeah, I agree. Like, it does seem kind of like long term, it's probably not going to be like this. But I don't know. I know for me, like just doing DAO NYC, I was like super drained after it. I can't imagine, you know, going a month after, let alone like a few weeks after. So, yeah, interesting. Okay, so big topic this week. We've talked about jokeDAO a lot on previous episodes, but this week they officially launched. So yeah, Frisson, I know you have a lot of thoughts. A lot of times this week I've woken up to like 40 Slack messages from Frisson about how we're going to try and take over jokeDAO. If we want to talk about that, but go ahead and give us like your general thoughts on jokeDAO, and then we'll go kind of more in depth on like what's happening beneath the hood.
Yeah, so I went through the classic cycle of like buying a lot of shit coins during the bull market, and then like as the prices crashed, I was like, what am I doing? You know, I had post bull market clarity and I sold all of them. I was like, I only have ETH. I'm just gonna like make a cave with a self-staking unit and just own ETH because it has a really good fundamentals. And this is like the first thing that's brought me out of my fundamentals cave. Like, it's really interesting, jokeDAO. Like, they have this white paper called jokeonomics. It's super interesting. Like, basically, there's a few things. First of all, like, the platform that they're building allows for on-chain governance, but more in the sense of like shaping roadmap and feedback versus like just saying yes, no, like, should we rug the treasury with this proposal, right? It's more just like everyone can propose options and then you can like vote on what to like choose. So I think it's a super interesting primitive, just like what they're building. And it's on Polygon, so you can like do it all on chain in a cost-effective way. But then there's like the organization behind the product, which is like a DAO in and of itself and is doing a bunch of governance innovation. They have this thing called the bicameral DAO that I think is going to become a meme. We're seeing them pop up. We'll talk about them more in a sec, but like Hazu proposed this for Lido. Optimism has a bicameral DAO, and jokeDAO is like, they put the name on it. But basically the idea is like, instead of having one token where you vote on what to do, there's two different tokens that have different types of governance power and also different user stakeholders who end up accruing that power. So in the case of jokeDAO, they have these NFTs that govern like the platform as a whole, but then they have this token called Joke, which you can like buy and also use and win in the joke race, that has like veto power over the NFT governor decisions and also different types of governance power that they can use to shape the contest itself. So yeah, they kind of like, the last thing I'll say is like they've been bringing this product to market through a DAO that they've created and through a product called Joke Race. So this announcement that we were just looking at is like them announcing the platform as a whole, as opposed to like just the DAO and the product that they built. But I think that's like also super compelling. Like, I think the future of building DAO tooling is to like create a DAO that uses your tool and then partner with all the other like future customers that you're going to have for the platform to like get involved in your DAO and basically like do like a more interesting way of sort of like airdropping them tokens and sucking them in. Like, I think that's such a good way to build DAO tooling that I actually think it's sort of like the only way in the medium term, like, because it solves product feedback and go to market at the same time, like while you're building. It's blowing my mind. Anyway, there's a lot there. It's one of those things you kind of have to dig in to like understand what's happening from all angles. That's also the sign of a good idea, is like there's like multiple good ideas that look different depending on like your angle. That's what like blew my mind about Ethereum when I first like got into the space. I was like, wait, this is like a decentralized computer, but it's also money, but it's also like blah, blah, blah. So anyway, and rant, jokeDAO's live. Oh, also, like, I'm going to become a joke whale and no one can stop me. I only need 69,000 joke and then I'll be a whale. So if you guys want to send me some joke, that'd be sick, because I'm accumulating. Whales are accumulating.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit more about like bicameral DAOs and like this dual governance system. Here's Hazu's tweet that you mentioned a little bit about in terms of Lido. I think like the overarching thing I'm getting from you guys is like, it's going to make it more difficult to participate in governance, right? Would you say?
That's definitely my takeaway. Dual governance systems is just more complicated, right? Like, it creates, today there's already kind of like an educational threshold to participating in DAOs. A dual governance system kind of starts to create a civic class that understands how this works and participates in it, which is fine, right? Like, some DAOs, especially probably like, Lido Finance, probably need this. Right? You probably need professional like participants in the DAO ecosystem to run it properly. So from that point of view, it's fine. But it does make participation a little bit less obvious to the people who do participate, right? And if this were to like spread to other DAOs, I think maybe the end product would be, in some situations, it would be used as kind of a tool to like decentralize, but not really decentralize, right? Where you sort of like consciously could build your DAO in such a way that only a select few really knew what was going on and how to make things work, which is, legitimate. You could argue that like the US Constitution sort of like explicitly did that as well, with the idea of making it a little bit hard for just like randos to actually make choices that make a difference. And this feels a little bit like that. Again, I think it's a good idea, but I think when we talk about improving on, one token, one vote, we should think about, what is the improvement for? A lot of these things are based around like, how do we drive higher throughput in decision making, or how do we drive, decision making that like some core group of people are more likely to agree with, right? And that I think is probably going to be the outcome of this, which, to be fair, maybe many of the Lido people don't really mind. But it's pretty classic thing that like a group of people in power start to create rules around participation in power, which, long term sort of like leads to a kind of capture where they end up being the only people that sort of really understand how the system works. But again, I think it's really exciting. I think we're still early enough in DAOs that like this kind of experimentation is necessary. And, Lido Finance probably does need this. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
All right, let's finish with Gnosis. Is it? So okay, this is part of the subject. Gnosis/GnosisSafe raised 100 mil, right? Can you explain this tweet for the people who don't understand? Like, what is the difference and what is happening?
GnosisSafe, one of many projects over time that has been built inside of Gnosis DAO, which was originally funded via a large ICO in 2017. This product, GnosisSafe, has become like massive. It's one of the biggest, strongest, highest product market fit products in all of crypto, period. Yeah, if you haven't used it, which you probably have, GnosisSafes are just like a bank account on Ethereum. And so, yeah, everyone uses them. So they're kind of like spinning it out of the DAO, which I think will allow the team I think a theme there is it will allow the team that's building it to be like more focused. And also from like an overall structure perspective will better align like the interests of everyone building GnosisSafe as well as Gnosis DAO as a whole. It allows them to bring on new investors, which is what this is about. So they've raised $100 million at like presumably a large valuation. They don't say what it is. It's probably like $1 billion or something like that. And yeah, they're going to be going hard, which I think is good because I think hopefully it will increase like the pace of product development on GnosisSafe, which is a very valuable fundamental protocol. Super interesting to see this, like spinning new companies from an equity perspective and also projects like out of an existing DAO is kind of fascinating. Would love to get a breakdown of like everything that happened behind the scenes with like token holders and equity holders and stuff. I don't think we'll get that, but probably very interesting structure to it. Wonder if we'll see a GnosisSafe token going forward. But yeah, I guess it's now called Safe. So friendship ended with GnosisSafe. Now Safe is my best friend.
Yeah, Dennison, give us your general thoughts on all of this. Yeah, you can take it where you want to take it.
I think Safe spinning off is a great idea, right? Like the product has such incredible product market fit. So many people are building on it. I think this is like great for the ecosystem. There's so much that can still be built. I've always thought of like Safe as like contract-based wallets, which is something that's really important. So I'm really happy to see this happening, right? Like I think it brings a lot of opportunity to the rest of the ecosystem. I do wonder how they're going to monetize and like whether or not there's going to be a token. I assume there probably will be. I wonder what can be done that a token would add value to, because the GnosisSafe is already such like a perfect kind of product. But yeah, I think it's great idea. In many ways, I kind of see GnosisSafe as the better wallet. Right, better than externally owned accounts. So if this is the future of just like better account abstraction, I could definitely see this as the way that like kind of the world onboards to Ethereum.
DAO tooling, good.
Very good.
Infrastructure funding, also good.
Be interesting to see how it plays out long term. But yeah, that's been this week's episode of DAO Talk. Otherwise, you guys have any closing thoughts on DAOs or just this week in general in the world? Any wisdom?
Definitely think it's hot DAO summer, which to give credit where credit is due. Julia from Orca kind of came up with that term originally last summer. So big ups to Orca out there. I definitely think that like every day is a good day to start a DAO. You should go start a DAO. You should start a wild DAO. We should probably start a GnosisSafe and just like add all our friends to it and see what happens. Put something in there of value. I wish they somehow were forced to contribute the thing of value, but I guess we can come up with it. Yeah, I think that'd be. I'm excited about all this. Got to build DAOs.
Yeah, I think like a common theme after every DAO Talk episode is like we end up being super excited about everything that's happening in the space, and that's no different this week. So, Frisson, looks you had something to say.
I probably already talked too much on this episode of DAO
podcast,
Talk, but
you're supposed to.
Yeah, hot DAO summer. Tally, like keep your eyes on. We're making it easier to launch DAOs. We got DAO content coming at you left, right, and center. Make sure you subscribe to DAO Talk. You're going to get some hot interviews. This week, we dropped Brian Tran from Seraph, who rocks. And then we dropped Parker from Boys Club. Both amazing builders doing stuff with different communities, diversifying the space. Super dope. There's literally like 15 more DAO Talk interviews plus 16 more from DAO NYC coming down the pike. Plus we're interrupting the DAO NYC interviews on Monday for like a very important interview with Getty from Interest Protocol. Going to be a big week from them next week. That conversation's super educational about like DeFi and DAOs. So check that out, and more to come.
Yeah, keep an eye on our socials at TallyXYZ for a lot of really awesome product announcements coming up. There's a lot of awesome stuff going on behind the scenes that we're super excited to share. Otherwise, see you next week. Peace.
Peace.